All right, Tommy, let's talk about the next breaking news. Pete Carroll to the Las Vegas Raiders. Our coach, the greatest Seahawks coach of all time, is back in Vegas, baby. And he has his slogans ready. Always compete, no turnover Tuesday, competition Wednesday is in Raiders. What do you talk about, man? What do you think about Pete Carroll to the Vegas Raiders?
Well, I like it. I like it for Vegas. Then they need a guy like Pete. I think for Seattle, I think things got a little stale. Things started to get repetitive, and I'm not completely sure Seattle ever really recovered from the Super Bowl loss with Pete. And that's just the sad truth. And you've heard former players come out and say like, I don't know if we ever really recovered mentally from that. And I just think for Seattle, like it's all love to Pete Carroll. It's all love to Pete Carroll. But I do think that maybe his time in Seattle ran out. I don't question his ability as a coach. It's similar, and I'm going to kind of do a little weird comparison, but it's very similar to the Boston Celtics and when they had Brad Stevens as head coach, and they just couldn't quite like Brad. Nobody questioned Brad Stevens was a good basketball coach, but things started to get very repetitive. They just couldn't get to that next level, and they moved on from Brad and changed the coach, and it just took them over the top. While Brad was still obviously in the building for them, it changed them, and they came out with a different style, maybe a little bit different energy, and they got to the top. So with Seattle, for example, like I just think that the change to Mike McDonald was really a good move. But for Vegas, I mean they're in a place right now where they kind of need a whole culture change. And I know for sure Pete Carroll can come in and change that culture. So I really like the hire for them. I think it's a safe hire. I'm not sure where their ceiling is with Pete. I'm not sure Pete Carroll is going to go to Vegas to go win a Super Bowl with them, but I do think that as a franchise, Pete will get them kind of on the right track and start to
Yeah.
get them trending in the right direction, versus where they've been, over the past several years. And so it's a really good hire. It's potentially a franchise changing hire and can really change the vibes around that building.
Man, for me, I like Pete. I like what he's about. I like his competition mentality. I think he'll change the culture in Vegas. I think he will turn that place around because it's a dumpster fire right now. But the problem with Pete is I don't know if his scheme's gonna work, man. I think his scheme is outdated. I was listening to the podcast of Julian Edelman, and he was talking about the Steelers, and he was talking about Mike Tomlin's scheme, and he was like, the guy doesn't change, he doesn't adapt to the NFL right now. So he said like I always used to get maybe 90% of my catches because I was always covered by a heavier linebacker. Like no nickel was covering me. So and I see the same thing today. So he was kind of comparing, when he was playing against Mike Tomlin and today with the Steelers, and he said like nothing changes. And I think those old coaches, with those old mindsets, they still have those same mindsets, man. They're not going to change. I'm really interested to see who Pete Carroll hires as his defensive coordinator and as his an offensive coordinator because he just might hire the old gang, man, and he might just stick to his old guns. But yeah, I think it's going to be a cultural change, but I don't see like no 10-win seasons, double digit win seasons over there at Vegas anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I think he will turn the vibes around in that building, but I'm not really sure if they're going to go compete, right? And they're in a very tough division already. I mean, you've got Denver who's coming up, you've got the Chiefs, and LA, and LA has been great too. So he's walking into what I think is one of if top, definitely a top two, top three toughest division in the league right now, and he's got a lot of work to do. That roster has a lot of work. They need a lot of help there, and so it won't be. I don't know if it'll be pretty next year. I think they're going to go get Sam Darnold. I do. That's one of my predictions for this offseason. I think
USC
they'll try
connection,
to get Sam.
yeah.
I think because what Sam Darnold's going to do is just come in and do what Pete needs him to do: hand the ball off, play action, all that. He's capable of doing that. And I think that's one thing we're going to see. And so that's a bold prediction. I've got a lot of the bold predictions. We'll get down there in another episode. But yeah, I imagine that he'll probably get a guy that can just play it safe, run that system, and not try to not do too much, and just stay true to that system.
So let's talk about some of the Seahawks he might talk to and bring over there in Vegas. So he just invited Carl Scott, defensive backs coach, to an interview for his defensive coordinator position. Some people are saying Russell Wilson might come. You're saying Sam Darnold, which makes sense. Other people are saying he might ask for a trade for Geno Smith. What do you think, man? Who's gonna follow Pete?
Man, well, Raiders, you're going to see some, some assistant coaches jump. I don't really want to get into too many specifics there. You're going to see a lot of like lower level assistants, I assume, follow him, maybe get higher roles just because of he needs certain roles to be filled. But we all know that Pete Carroll is going to run that defense. Like that's going to be Pete's defense, and he's probably going to get, and for lack of a better word, um, some puppets, um, just to kind of give you like a description of what kind of role these defensive assistants will play. Like they will be basically puppets. This is going to be Pete's defensive scheme that we've always seen. He didn't take the job just to be there. Like he's going to run his stuff, and so I assume we're going to see a lot of old Seattle assistants that were with him and jump over there because they know what they're doing, and Pete knows that they'll do what he needs them to do. And in
So you're
terms of
saying
player,
so you're saying Shane
sorry,
Waldron is getting another job?
oh boy, maybe. I don't think Shane Waldron's going to be out of a job for long. I think he might be out of an offensive coordinator job for a while, but I don't think he'll find a role in coaching somewhere. It might be more of like a run game coordinator type deal, but
One game
yeah,
coordinator.
something like that. Something like that. He's not getting a whole unit's coordinator job though. I'll tell you
Maybe
that. I'll tell you
passing
that.
game coordinator, but
Yeah,
run
there you
game
go.
coordinator?
Pass
I don't
game
think.
coordinator Mo. What? He doesn't pass the ball down the field. I don't know.
Yeah,
Nobody wants that.
just outside the numbers, right?
Sorry, Shane. Sorry. Um,
All
but
right. So you
yeah,
were saying about you were saying about some of the. So how about the players though? Who do you think is going to jump? Tyler Lockett maybe?
honestly, potentially, I wouldn't say I'd rule that out. Um, I could see Tyler Lockett. They're pretty good at tight end. Obviously, don't really need to address that. They got Meyer and Bowers, so they don't. That's one position they're set at. I know Pete loves that. They got Jacoby Myers, who's a good receiver. Trey Tucker. So that they could add Luckett just maybe for a little bit, another veteran presence there. Jacoby's been there and done that though, so maybe not, but um, definitely will be addressing the offensive line. I think. I don't know. We'll find out pretty quick if that's a Schneider thing or a Pete thing, and I think it's a Schneider thing. So I imagine they'll probably have to address that a little bit. Uh, running back. They're going to take a running back in this draft. We know Pete. We know he loves his running backs. I imagine they'll probably take one pretty early as well. I'm thinking second round. I think they're going to try to dip into this really really loaded class and get a guy for themselves. Um,
Crazy. I heard
and
like
so
30 running drafts might be drafted this year. 30 of them.
I don't know if it would be 30, but there's a lot. There's a double digit list of extremely extremely talented guys. So, and I was thinking about it too. I kind of want Seattle. Like I was saying, I want Seattle to get into this running back class. I mean, man, there's so much talent. And so, if you can get a great player in the third or fourth round, fifth round, then do it. Um, but Pete's going to get guys that are going to come play his style of ball. He looks for a certain type of personality too. We know that. He likes guys that love the game, love to compete, loves instincts, he loves length on defense. So I think we're going to see a lot of moves like that. Like specifically, it's hard to really dive in and be like, oh, he's going to get this guy, this guy, and this guy. But he's gonna look for his traits that we saw in Seattle with a lot of his draft classes and free agent signings, and we're definitely, I believe, going to see kind of a repeat of that.